What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you joined me today. If this is your first video, thank you for joining me. If this is your umpteenth video, thank you so much for your support. On today's episode, I'm gonna work on something that I'm kind of just gonna make on the fly. It was inspired by my sister-in-law. She made this awesome sticky rib a couple weeks ago, and I just had my mind going and I wanted to make my own version. In my cooking, I like to introduce my Filipino heritage and culture into Western technique. So my mind was racing since I had that rib. I decided that I would try my hand at making a pork spare rib adobo, but a sticky Southern style rib. So I went to the store and I grabbed some pork ribs. We're gonna marinate them in a Filipino adobo, but we're gonna introduce a couple ingredients from Southern barbecue that's gonna make this rib nice and sticky. So let's get to it. Pork spare ribs right here. We have about just under 2 pounds, and we're gonna marinate this. Filipino soy sauce is a lot saltier, so make sure you got the right stuff. Apple cider vinegar. So this is where I deviate from traditional Filipino adobo, but I'm gonna use ACV because American barbecue sauces usually use apple cider vinegar, so I think that's gonna complement and bring those two cuisines together. This mash right here is just garlic that I processed with olive oil, and then I've got brown sugar, again playing on that American sticky rib. So we're gonna get all this into a bowl and I'm gonna tell you the quantities that I use. 1 cup of apple cider vinegar, half a cup of dark Filipino soy sauce, 4 tablespoons of brown sugar, and then we're just gonna mess this thing up with a bunch of processed garlic. Now we whisk. I just want to dissolve the sugar and break up this garlic a little bit. We can't forget cracked Peter. Give it a taste. That's good. Really garlicky. Soy sauce comes through. Apple cider vinegar. This stuff is super pungent. I actually like this balance of sweetness and sourness, so I think my ratios are good. Drop our ribs in there. Make sure we don't marinate this paper thing. Pour into the bag. Now what we're gonna do is open a small opening right there at the top. Squeeze out as much air as we can, and then close it back up. Cool. We're gonna put this in the fridge for a minimum of 12 hours. And I'm gonna take it a step further and we're gonna go for 48 hours.
Much later.
48 hours later, we have our ribs. Oh yeah, that's smelling like a proper pork adobo. Of course, we're gonna use the Instant Pot. We're gonna pressure cook these ribs to make sure they're nice and tender. Just dump its entire contents into our Instant Pot. Include all of that marinade. So I'm just gonna arrange this so that we get even cooking. Cool, just like that, lay them flat. We're gonna drop this into our Instant Pot. Get that lid on, pressure cook. Let's go 30 minutes. So in 30 minutes, we've either got a pot full of tender ribs, or a pot full of pulled pork, or we might need some more cooking time. Who knows? We're doing this on the fly. We'll see you in 30 minutes. 30 minutes has elapsed. Actually, 35. We're gonna release this pressure and see how our ribs are doing. We're just waiting for this little pin to go down. Let me in. Let me in. Let me in. Let me in. Yeah. Our meat is falling off the bone, and I'm pretty sure that's really nice and tender at this point. Now we're just gonna pull these ribs out gently because it's falling right off the bone. But the important thing right now is that we transfer it to this bowl, separate it from its sauce, because we're not done with this. We're gonna harvest all of that sauce, put it into a saucepan, and we're gonna add some ingredients to it to make a glaze for our ribs. Just get that extra juice back into the pot. Got a little sauce pot here. This is a 2-quart sauce pot. Gonna harvest all of that pork rib extract, drippings, essence.
Magic.
Our ribs are gonna chill for a minute. I'm gonna add a couple things to the drippings of our ribs to thicken it up and really make a glaze reminiscent to Southern sticky rib barbecue. And I'm not entirely sure this is gonna be good or if it's gonna work, but we're gonna add about a quarter cup of tomato ketchup. It'll be really good too, actually, if you have banana ketchup. And there's a ton of sugar in there, so you know it's gonna thicken up nice. In my bourbon barbecue sauces, I add ground mustard, so I'm gonna do that here as well. About a tablespoon for a little touch of heat. Paprika, pops, ground ginger, another tablespoon, just to keep it really simple. 1 tablespoon all the way across the board. Cayenne pepper. I'm gonna add some more brown sugar. We're gonna do 4 tablespoons of brown sugar. Unpacked. And then we'll start with a pinch of sea salt. Okay, now we've got our sauce here on the stove. We're gonna turn this on to a medium low and let that simmer down while our ribs are doing its thing. Let's give it a nice stir to break up all of our dry ingredients. And we'll check on it periodically, I'd say every 10 minutes. But once it starts to bubble, you wanna stand over it and watch it. Stir every 3 minutes. Make sure it doesn't boil over and it doesn't burn on the bottom. So I rinsed out our pot and I lined it with some parchment. Yeah, this parchment, it's used. I made some cheese sticks, but that, you know, it's still good for another use, I think so. And now we're gonna line our pot here, meat side up with the ribs and give it a little bit of space. And the reason why we're doing meat side up is because we're gonna be basting this with our experimental barbecue sauce. I say experimental because I'm not entirely sure that this will even be good. It's my first try, and I want to bring you guys along. That should be fine like that. Let's get the one with the most meat on it. There we go. Let's do the broil setting. Defaults to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. We're gonna go for 10 minutes to start. While that's going, turn our attention back over here to the barbecue sauce. And this is gonna need a lot of time to reduce. I tasted the sauce off camera. It was a little bit on the sweet side, so I added some more vinegar to cut that sweetness. And then I'm gonna taste it again once it reduces. I don't wanna salt it yet because as the water evaporates, it will concentrate in flavor, and an overly salty barbecue sauce is just not the way to go. In 10 minutes, we'll check in on our sauce. We'll check in on our ribs and see if we can baste it for the first time. Oh my goodness. Look at those ribs. They're looking mighty crispy. Our barbecue sauce is nearly there. It's still a little bit on the runny side. So I want to give this another 10 to 15 minutes to continue to reduce. We're about halfway there.
1 eternity later.
Here we go. I believe we're ready. Transferred our barbecue sauce here. It's still a little bit runny for my liking, but I don't want it to become a paste. While it's cooking inside our Instant Pot, I believe it should continue to thicken up. So I'm gonna brush this on, and while it continues to cook in here, I have faith that it will thicken up and create the glaze that we're looking for. Here we go. All right, so this is layer 1. Put the lid back on, broil. We're gonna go down to 5 minutes. Hit start. This is gonna wind up and get to 400 degrees and then start the timer. So in 5 minutes, we'll see where we're at, give it another baste, and we'll just continue to do that until we feel good about our ribs. All right, it just beeped. Okay, on the camera, it's gonna look super burnt, but in real life, it is nice and candy. Get the tongs and pull these guys out. Oh yeah, it probably looks like charcoal on camera, but I promise you, it's not burnt, it is candied. And I just have mustard green here, because I've been growing Chinese mustard greens. Ribs laid out. I'm gonna resist the urge to bite into this ASAP because it's still molten. Oh, that smells and looks so good. The final dab. Okay, so I'm gonna get one more layer of sauce on here. Oh yeah. The color is just not translating to the screen. I gotta do something with the filters to make sure you guys see the deep red. Because in person, it's like a dark brown maroon color. But I'm looking at the viewfinder and it just looks like charcoal. All right. So I just came from outside because I needed to take the thumbnail photo. I'll just pull off a piece right here. Look at that. That was so easy. It just pulled off on its own. Sneak a taste. Mmm. Mmm. Okay, a couple things. It's very sticky. It tastes like an Asian inspired barbecue, but it's too much of a departure from Filipino adobo. I don't think this will pass. Oh man. And that candy layer, you probably see it. It's sticking onto my teeth. Mommy, get a nibble. You want a bite too? Once this cools down, I'll let you get a bite, okay?
Why?
You see what I'm saying? It's like not adobo, but man, it's good.
I taste the vinegarness. Is that weird? Like the vinegar flavor, but it's overpowered by the like flavor of the barbecue sauce. But the barbecue sauce is really good.
You heard it here. The smell of the vinegar from the ACV. I feel like we're gonna try this again. Instead of using apple cider vinegar, I really have to go to the store and get some cane vinegar. That'll tone down the pungentness.
Yeah.
Smoothing out the sweetness because the cane vinegar, when it's cooked down, it has more of a like a mellow bite to it compared to apple cider. But that's not gonna stop me from eating this plate. I was supposed to fast until 2 o'clock today, but it's not 2. I don't care. This is really good.
Yeah.
Oh, what the heck? It doesn't just fall right off the bone, but my tooth just sunk into the bone right there. Can you guys see that? And I don't feel like I'm eating a bone, which is super weird. Final verdict, it's a good rib. Nice and sticky, sweet, salty, savory, a little bit smoky. I feel like the singed sugar, I'm gonna go with singed. Singed sugar added a bit of smokiness to it, but there's no like bitter, acrid, burnt taste, right? So it's good. Is it adobo? No. It's like some pan-Asian fusion pork rib.
I could see it, but if you didn't tell me, I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Just because I told her that I was going to try to do the adobo sticky rib, Filipino adobo sticky rib, she is looking for those flavors. So she's able to like pinpoint it in every bite. But if you guys had it, or you attempted to make this at home, I don't think it would come off as pork adobo. Come here, baby. Let's do the outro. Say hi, everybody. Well, thank you guys for joining me on this little culinary adventure. I was kind of winging it. This is what R&D looks like. This is the lab. If you like this video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. And if you enjoy this content, you'd be doing me a huge favor and supporting the channel if you subscribe. And while you're there, hit that notification bell. I post a new video every week, typically Saturday at 8 a.m. Love you guys. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for being here on the channel, and we'll see you on next week's episode. Bye. Micah, say bye-bye. Not yet? Take 2. Say I love you. Bye-bye. Take 3. Take 3.
Bye.
Bye. We got it.